Including the fabulous Live 95.
Yes, my man, all right. Our main review is the fantastic Alien vs Predator on the Jaguar. Okay.
And I'll be explaining why Snow White is looking fairer than ever, thanks to a powerful computer, 3 lasers, and a little bit of artistic genius.
But first, have a look at this. All those visual effects were produced on...
The Amiga?
With the help of a toaster. Nah, not that kind of toaster, this kind of toaster. It's a special bit of hardware that's a cheaper version of the special effects equipment that we use to do this. Hey, that's enough of that. It was launched 7 years ago as an add-on for the Amiga, and it took the film and TV visual effects departments by storm. Programs such as Babylon 5, The X-Files and Sequest DSV couldn't have been made without the use of the toaster.
Now, for the first time, you can buy the software and run it on your home Amiga without the extra hardware. It's called Lightwave 3D, and it produces some pretty spectacular special effects. If you're a Babylon 5 fan, you'll recognize that, of course, as the Vorlon spaceship. How does it work? Well, I shall show you. It's a bit like making a movie, really. Now, the first thing you need to make a film is your artiste, in this case, the Vorlon spaceship. Then you've got to start by positioning your lights. And we can move the lights in 3 dimensions. We can just move it up and over to the left. And the reason, by the way, that the Vorlon spaceship suddenly became a bounding box is because it's much easier for the computer to show me positions. Position of light's very important then, as is the position of your camera. Now, there's the camera on the right, there's the object in the center, and these yellow dotted lines represent the field of view of the camera. So again, I can move it around, move it closer to my object, or further away, or take it above it. Flick back to look through the camera. I'm still not entirely happy with that, so we'll move it, but this time we'll move it by looking through the viewfinder. So we'll bring that around to about, I think there should be my starting position. That's the lights and the camera in the right positions. Now, for the action. We have to tell the computer where we want our object to start. So we create what they call a keyframe, which is the beginning frame of our animation. Then we tell the system what we'd like to happen in the first 20 frames of our animation. And in those first 20 frames, I think the spaceship should go away from me and then sort of slightly over to the left. And that's the first 20 frames dealt with. And in the second 20 frames, we'll have the ship move up and possibly rotate on its axis. And then in the final 20 frames of the animation, bringing the total to 60, I'll get my object to shoot out of the left of the viewfinder. Right, and that's the computer busy thinking about how our animation will look in its wireframe version. It takes a couple of seconds to do that. And believe it or not, that's exactly how the animations for Babylon 5 were made, albeit with 30 Amigas strung end to end. Yeah, that's right, 30. So now let's run it. There we are. I completed Babylon 5 Vorlon spaceship animation, but it still doesn't look terribly realistic, does it? So we've got to add some texture to it. Okay, let's just start the final rendering. And through the magic of television, this is what the final animation looks like.
Without the Amiga and this extra bit of hardware, they couldn't have made Babylon 5. So with the right kit, a good imagination and a lot of patience, you can produce some amazing images that look almost real.
Hello, Furtlers. Today, how to play your favourite sports indoors. First, football. Now, this is one way to play indoor soccer, but it's boring. And here's another way, FIFA Soccer on the Mega CD. Now, you can make this a bit less boring by using this cheat, which lets you turn on a crazy curved ball. On the options screen, just type in BACBCC, and there you go, curved ball on. Well, hey, look at that crazy curved ball! But it's still not as much fun as real indoor soccer. Now, to play that, first, you need to clear a space in a suitable room, and then use some odd bits of furniture for goals, right? Oh! I almost forgot. Don't attempt to play indoor soccer with 2 full 11-a-side teams. It's best to play it with no more than 9-a-side. Oh, yes, go!
must be sick as a parrot. Our main review this week is Alien vs Predator on the Jaguar, which hits the shops tomorrow. It's a first-person action adventure in the classic Doom style. There are 3 ways to play the game. As a colonial marine, you're the only human left alive in an alien-infested spaceship. When you play as an alien, your mission is to rescue the Queen from the Predator's lair. And if you choose to play Predator, your only aim in life is to capture the alien Queen. Remember though, in space, no one can hear you scream. Here's Aisha.
What on earth got a hold of this guy?
This is not the sort of game you can just pick up and start bashing at buttons. You need to employ a lot of strategy if you're going to get through it. I prefer to play as the Marine as there's a lot more of a challenge. The idea as the Marine is to collect security cards which will give you access to different places. I've just collected one. It's a really terrifying game. I daren't play it on my own at night as the graphics and sound are so outstanding you actually feel as if you're there. It's really scary. I found an alien cocoon up ahead and it's really scary because you don't know what's in them. Uh-oh, this one's a face sticker. The graphics are amazing as the Predator. You can change your view so you can actually see in infrared, which makes it easier to spot the Marines. This is an amazing game. It's so good, it's worth buying a Jaguar for.
It's lovely and gory. Fans of the films will love this.
I can see the appeal, but it's just not for me. I couldn't really be bothered with all the tactical play.
And the scores for Alien vs Predator, both the boys and the girls gave it an acid-dripping 4 out of 5.
In 1988, this camera revolutionized photography. It was the first to use a roll of film instead of bulky, messy glass plates. The camera and the film were invented by a New Yorker called George Eastman, and he called his new camera the Kodak. 100 years on, the company Eastman founded, also called Kodak, is again leading a revolution, this time in the way movies are being made. Enter the computer camera left. This is Kodak's CineSight facility right here in Hollywood. This is one of the few places in the world that can produce computer images good enough to be projected onto a giant movie screen and still look real. Since they opened 2 years ago, the wizards at CineSight have helped some of Hollywood's top directors perform all sorts of trickery in their movies, most of which you're not supposed to spot. And this is how they do it. This is a scene from City Slickers 2.
What we have here are 3 different elements, or 3 different images we're going to put together into a final piece. They are the background image, Mr. Billy Crystal there, and we also have his 2 other actors on another green screen. So there are 3 pieces we'll put together with the background. What we did to really make this image look real is we added some rocks here. That's the challenge, is to make it look like it was a real shot.
Before this technology was available, a scene like this could only have been shot using stunt doubles. It's just too dangerous to risk your stars on the edge of a mountain, and you'd never have got those rocks falling at just the right moment. One of the most precise and high-tech machines is the Cineon scanner. It converts each frame of film into numbers that the computers can understand. In fact, the numbers are staggering. It takes about 40 megabytes of computer memory to store a single frame of film. That's equivalent to about 80 floppy disks full, and there's 24 frames for each second of a film. That's why the computers here have to be the most powerful graphics machines ever made, and every meg of power was needed for CineSight's biggest project so far. It involved all 119,550 frames of a movie that was first released nearly 60 years ago. Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. Once upon a time, there was a film called Snow White. It was the first ever full-length animated film. But poor Snow White, she never quite looked her best. When the film was being made, the animators used a new technique that involves shooting the red, green, and blue parts of the picture onto separate rolls of film. But there were bits of dirt and dust on the glass used to hold down the drawings, and these showed up on the film as different colored blots. These blemishes have appeared on every print of Snow White ever shown, until now. Some of the retouching was automated, but each frame had to be looked at by an experienced operator to make sure that the computer wasn't accidentally removing part of the original painting. The ultimate test was to show the restored footage to 4 of the film's original animators. Their verdict? Snow White was once again the fairest in the land. Whatever has been done electronically to a movie, the final step in this process is to use this machine to print computer images back onto film. It uses 3 laser beams, red, green, and blue, to do so very precisely. Old George Eastman wouldn't recognize most of the technology here, but it's a great tribute to his invention that still today, there's no better way to record images than on film.